la la, putting on the headphones.
Yeah, we should have a putting on the headphones song.
Putting on the headphones. Putting on the headphones.
Sarah's research.
Sarah's research.
I know you told me I couldn't get away. Is there food? It's like, no, I told you if you couldn't get away.
I'm running the show now. Oh boy. Hey, I'm still in focus. Yeah, clear it out. Clear it out. Well, you want to get started?
Okay.
All right. So yeah, we're here. This is Two for the Show. We're talking about a wonderful film from 1980, and the name of that movie is
Make Sleeping Corpses Die.
Nightmare City. City of the Walking Dead.
It'll always be known as Nightmare City to
It will
me.
always be. It will always be Nightmare City.
I don't know when they changed the title. They probably did that immediately.
That's one thing I didn't look that up. You know, it might have came out in Italy first,
yeah,
and then released in America a couple of years later as City of the Walking Dead.
It's 1980.
It's 1980. Yeah. He did 2 movies that year. Eaten Alive. But Nightmare City.
Nightmare City.
Nightmare City, directed by, Umberto Lenzi, who, remember, I've used, because we're huge Italian horror fans, and I've used the name Lenzi before in some projects.
I like how you used his name and not Stiglitz. Stiglitz.
How do you Stiglitz?
Google is Stiglitz.
All right. Well, I apologize if we are pronouncing this incorrectly.
But he's Mexican. He's not Italian. But
Hugo
I always thought because he's in a lot of Italian movies.
Yeah, Hugo is Stiglitz.
Hugo is Stiglitz.
Yes. Well, he's amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
He doesn't have to do much either. He just has that face.
Yes.
With the beard.
And they
always shoot him in like a tight shot.
He's very calm. He's a little too calm.
Yeah, no, he's right. He's not. Yeah.
But
he's not Jack Black, I'll tell you that.
Some people might say that that's a sign of bad direction. I say it's a sign of just such a character who's so badass.
Definitely has a strong hero. Like, I felt safe.
Yes.
He made me feel safe.
I felt safe. Yes. I wanted to be cradled in his arms, and I wanted to touch his beard.
I wanted to touch the beard. Remember, because he just picks up a gun, uses it, throws it away, picks up another gun.
That's right.
And uses it.
That's right. And let's not forget, we don't have to jump to conclusions, but let's not forget the power the man has when he picks up objects like TV monitors.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he imbues it with superpower.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen a TV do that before.
Yeah, there is a rumor that I did read about, and it's not an IMDb thing. I forgot. I think it might be on the Arrow booklet. The rumor is that wasn't supposed to happen.
Bullshit!
I think that...
Okay. Okay.
Because he throws the TV, and it was just, I guess, supposed to break.
Well.
But that was a very, what's the word I'm looking for? You can help me. That was a very deliberate. That was a very deliberate fire pyro effect.
Wow. Yeah, no, that was crazy.
There was a rumor that was not supposed to happen.
The fire wasn't, the effect wasn't in the television. They had to have some kind of effect rigged right where it was being thrown.
And then, to me, it almost looked like if it was a cut, it was a hell of a cut.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a cut.
No, I think I think there was something in the TV because there was a wire.
Was there now?
Yeah.
See, to me, that's more dangerous, I feel, because it's less controlled.
Yeah, and it blew up next to 2 infected.
Yeah. The
So,
stunts in the movie were pretty good because
Yeah.
of stuff like that.
and remember, one of the stuntmen infected, his name, oh man, Ottavanio del Acque.
Okay.
Bullshit!
I totally butchered that. So let's just call him Otta.
Or Worm Eye.
We'll call him Otta. Worm Eye.
Worm Eye from Fulci's Zombie.
Fulci's zombie.
The
The zombie.
iconic Worm Eye.
Yeah, the zombie that sits up with the worm in it, and then it has the famous neck biting
That
scene.
is an amazing neck fight, and yeah, what a great moment. Michael Berryman, he got lucky with being on the poster of Hills Have Eyes, but the Worm Eye actor Ottavanio, to be on the cover of such an amazing film, and he's just a stunt guy. He's not even like a major actor. What an honor!
Yeah.
And what a great moment in horror cinema.
In a moment.
Yeah.
In the moment.
So I didn't know he was in this, but
That's why
when I
we're
found
not
out-
we're not offline talking about Fulci's Zombie, which in Italy it is known as Zombie 2.
Yeah, because that was 79, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was right before this.
Yes, and this movie was one like Umberto was trying to escape. First of all, we know Umberto doesn't consider these zombies.
Right.
These are infected people.
And that's
I
a
don't
whole
consider these
discussion
zombies.
I feel that we could have. They're not zombies. They're not.
I know we could have a whole
similar.
They are so similar that it's just easier for people to
It's
say.
easier to people
they're
to
zombies.
to group it into that, pigeonhole it.
And we'll just quickly say, to me, it's not because they run.
No, has nothing.
That has nothing to do with it. Even though that is a reason at the time, Umberto was using them running to escape the look of zombies.
Right, which I liked. I liked the running. I thought it makes it scarier.
Much scarier.
Yeah, because I think the movie is mostly scary because they can run and use weapons, and they coordinate as well. That's also scary.
Yeah.
So
And of course,
those three
again,
things.
the weapons thing, I can't say that's zombies have been using weapons since the beginning of time.
It's been used the brick.
Yeah,
Not the very first zombie, but the first zombie.
the first flesh-eating zombie.
used a tool.
That's right. That's right. The first zombie that eats flesh for nutrition.
Yes.
There's a scene with the major, and there's the doctor, Professor
I am Colonel Donahue.
Colonel Donahue. He's the doctor, and he tells them, okay, the tests show that these are 100% human people.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
His molecular structure clearly establishes him as a member of the human race.
That was important. That was important to Lenzi.
It was, yes, that scene, because he's trying to tell people, look, this isn't a zombie film.
Right. The producers wanted a zombie film.
Bullshit!
The radiation, it like did that hyper cell regeneration. That's what it did. So they regenerate. They don't feel pain. Yes, they die from a shot in the head. But they don't eat flesh. They drink blood. So if anything, people should be calling them more like vampires than zombies.
Right. It's kind of a new monster, really.
It is.
It's actually fairly original.
Yeah, and he did make the movie you were talking about before. You were talking about that 1976 or 1973 incident.
Yeah, there was a real life incident in Italy in '76 where some chemical plants had a meltdown and the toxin went airborne and made a whole lot of people sick. So that's what this movie is loosely referencing.
Do you think we should give up the advantages that we've gained?
Maybe it would be better. However, it is not the fault of science and technology, but of man.
Because, I mean, he did go on record and say that he made this movie to be like a nuclear
It's
awareness.
an environment. That's why it's actually more Let Sleeping Corpses Lie
Yeah.
than Dawn of the Dead, really, because it is kind of an environmental film.
Yeah. Now, do you notice that the Colonel character, Mel
Ferrar.
Excuse me, General. May I make a phone call?
All right, but hurry it up.
Yes, sir.
in any other movie, he would be like totally evil.
Yeah.
He would be
wasn't.
totally bad.
I really like that.
They were real. Even the major who had the wife who did the artwork.
The Donahue.
Colonel? He's the doctor. The major who has the wife who does the claymation.
Yeah.
Him and the colonel should totally be in any other movie. I don't care about the people.
Yeah.
It's all about this and me, blah, blah, blah. But they're not.
They're both compassionate characters.
They're both compassionate characters. Even though the colonel did say, no, we cannot tell the public.
Which, when I heard that, I was pissed off because so many times we've seen this in movies where like we can't tell people because they're going to panic and it's going to be worse. Well, but then if you can't control it though, it's just going to get out of hand anyways, and they're all sitting ducks. So it actually upset me because it was kind of a movie cliche.
Yeah,
and he also was optioning the bomb too, not nuke, but he was talking about getting the planes going and dropping, just bombing out, and probably taking a lot of civilian casualties. He didn't really say that, but we have to assume going on. And I did feel that those two characters in particular were had some layers to them,
especially what the major did or tried to do at the end of the movie in the helicopter.
Right, which was a great part of the movie.
Because even the pilot said, "Sir, what if they're infected?" And he's just like, get down there now.
Now, Donahue, right? The colonel is Donahue?
No, the colonel was the doctor with the beard who told him everything. I forgot the colonel's name.
Thanks,
General Murchison.
He has a part where, remember, the guy comes in and says that, God, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. Spoiler alert. The guy comes in and says, like, oh, we have a gas now that will destroy them or take them out or something.
Yeah.
And then Mercer's just like, doesn't matter. He's like, we don't have any planes.
The gas has proven effective. Our planes can fire it with their missile launchers. You can begin at once, General.
But Donahue, we have no planes. Not anymore.
And I actually felt kind of like that was a good acting moment for one, but also it was a good morality moment. Like he genuinely felt like he had failed, and it was a very human moment. See, a lot of times in these movies, because especially a movie like this, where it really is just a dumb fun movie.
That's
which
right.
Is totally fine, but you wouldn't expect that kind of humanness in a movie like this.
No, absolutely not. And even to this day when I watch it, it's actually the major who gets me more than the colonel. But because remember, and when the colonel made the decision, we can't tell the public. Even the major goes, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
We can't conceal this from the public. Why, it's absurd.
The government disagrees.
That was good.
It was too real.
That
It
was good
very
that someone opposed it.
I think that's another one of his. I did not read this anywhere. I bet you he was trying to break the tropes, or he was trying to break the cliches.
He really seemed like he wanted to.
If it was a zombie film, the military would be like, secret, we'll take care of ourselves, and that was it.
Because even in Return of the Living Dead, you have that pretty typical response from the military.
Yeah.
So, and that's a great film, of course, but a little bit more tongue-in-cheek maybe, but no, I liked the human quality of this film. It was surprising to see that, especially with the military guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
There's not much comedy.
Not intentionally, no.
Okay, the TV monitor. Aside from the TV monitor, is there any intent?
The only other thing that made me laugh as much as that was the blatant, gratuitous boobs.
Well, they're going for where the blood is the most.
I guess so. Well, they did. Okay, you're right, because that one scene in the dance studio.
That's the scene.
The mastectomy when he cuts the nipple off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is. And that's the story, I guess.
That's it. Because, again, let's rewind. The story of this movie is a journalist played by Hugo
Stiglitz
is writing a story about Professor
Hagenbeck,
yeah.
a nuclear
nuclear physicist who's doing some type of research in a different country, who's supposed to like bring back this world-renowned, information and test, and then
some big deal,
and then he returns in that barbarian plane full of, I couldn't even tell you how many infected.
Enough to start an outbreak.
A complete outbreak. And that's
your setup.
That's your setup. And and the rest of the movie is what? Is Hugo.
Mayhem. Absolute bloody mayhem.
Yes. Absolute bloody Italian.
Yes, Italian mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, definitely 2 thumbs up,
Yeah.
How
many scenes do not contain bloody mayhem in this movie? You probably can count on one hand.
Maybe on 1 or 2 hands. It might take a few hands, because even scenes even scenes that shouldn't have had blood, like the wife who's working on the bus, the clay bus, which was pretty scary looking.
I thought it was really cool. Yeah.
Yes, there was an infected person in the house at somewhere, but remember the knife was stabbed inside the clay.
In the start of that scene,
and it was bleeding.
Which I thought, like, oh, they're not going to pay that off. I'm like, that. I thought that was going to be a big mistake. How is that going to pay off so soon? It seemed like they had a lot more time ago, but they finally do pay that off.
Yeah. I mean, we won't, obviously we won't talk about too much about
I'm trying to avoid that, but it's going to be, I'm sure we're going to
look, what I'm about to say next might give too much away. There are over 150 on-screen deaths in this movie.
And do you know how many extras? Because it looked like a minimum of dozens.
Yeah, they had to have at least 50 people.
Well, that one helicopter shot of the field with them in the field, that was close to 100, I want to say. But that was one of the things that really impressed me about the movie, was just the scope of the extras, of the infected, because they do a hell of a job making the film look like you're in trouble, because there's so many of them.
No matter which way you're running.
And you can tell the budget does have some limitations, which of course, that's going to be a thing. With a lot of the because so much makeup they have to do on all these extras. And that's why they had just the face.
They had the layers, though.
Right. It's not. They're
not
the
closest
all
to the camera. Yeah. Right.
Some of them just had like some dark under their eyes.
That's it.
Because they were early stages.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. When you first turn, you just look like a human.
But you're still crazy.
Yeah.
And you're still murderous.
When because there's the we won't say it, but there's the Friends scene. Remember the Friends?
Yeah.
The Friends scene on the road where they meet up with some friends. And
that was hilarious to me because...
what are you doing with that gun, buddy?
Yeah. No, right. Okay. You know what's even funnier, though, is even before that. They get there. That scene, I think, is one of the more unintentionally funny moments.
Me too.
Because they get there and they're like, oh, it's nice to be in the wilderness. They're by a field on the side of the road. They're not in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And he makes some comment like, why aren't there... This road's usually full of people. Like, why?
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a car since we got here. In a place like this?
Look at the road, Jessica. Usually there's heavy traffic.
It's supposed to be this, like, really attractive vacation spot. They're just by a field with weeds.
Yeah.
And stuff. And there's some really bad dialogue in that scene, too. Because the woman's like, I'm not going back to town. To hell with the military or something like that. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing you could possibly
Was that the daughter?
It's the daughter of
the general.
The general, yeah.
Or the colonel. Mel. Yeah. Farrar. Okay. Yeah.
There were that just really made me laugh. And then of course those people show up.
Yeah, their friends show up.
I just knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And the fact they used a harpoon
made
it even better.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, that was great.
The friend, the lady friend that shows up in the car, they're infected. Umberto directs her to look up and then suck the neck. So again, he's trying to push the drinking of the blood and not the tearing of the flesh.
Yeah, that was clearly important to him.
Yeah.
So he did very well several times in the movie, hiding that they're infected, in the shot, and then they turn and they're infected.
Yeah.
So fun. Even though you totally know, especially with our nowadays, our modern horror eyes, like we know.
Yeah, we've seen so much of it.
We know what you're doing.
Yeah. He started the cannibal subgenre. We talked about this before record. I think the movie was called Slaughter, 1972. And it was about a reporter going to Thailand to meet up with the tribe to interview him. And I guess he gets eaten by the tribe.
Well, yeah, that was the original. Cannibal movies were always having to do with
Visiting
Amazonian
people,
natives or something.
Yeah. Without knowing, he didn't know. This is 1972. He started the cannibal Italian subgenre of horror. It was him, and it was in 1980 when he finally returned with Eaten Alive.
Yeah, it's not a very large or prolific subgenre, but if you're a fan of them,
they've got their.
It's hard stuff to get through.
Yeah. Italian filmmakers certainly did their cannibal movies. Like you had your Ferox, Holocaust.
I don't want to talk trash about American filmmaking with cannibals, but I have to imagine that the Italians have got that genre just locked up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's theirs. I'm sure they own that. Yeah, no. And the cannibal movies are all crazy. There's not one of them that's not completely off the rails, I feel. Mm-hmm. Cannibal Holocaust, crazy. Ferox, crazy. Mountain of the Cannibal God is totally crazy. There's a guy screwing a pig in that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If Umberto wasn't making audience members throw up, leave a theater, or sue him, then he probably didn't feel like he did his job.
Yeah. We can't talk about the big major spoiler in the movie, which of course
is...
Stand back! No!
The framing device, where the whole movie is in the head of a Stiglitz. What was this character named? Dean? Okay. So it turns out that the whole movie is just a dream he had. And when that hit me, I was like, oh.
especially after they kind of did, like, let's be real. If they ended the movie with what happened at the roller coaster.
That's right. And because that was funny, because
that was unintentionally funny.
It was unintentionally funny because of the sound.
But I felt so terrible.
Well, yeah, but but at the same time, because of the sound of it. So, and then they do that, and I was just like, oh man. But I get why they did it. So
they admit they didn't know how to end the movie.
Yeah, I get it. I don't hate it, but it really did kind of kick me in the stomach a little bit.
Okay. But you know what? That's fine. I'll take that, and probably a lot of people felt that same way. But you knew everything that happened, everything you saw.
I mean, it needed to be. Look,
it's happening.
If you don't go that way, it has to be a downer ending, anyways. It can't have a good ending.
And that wasn't a good ending.
Right? No,
that wasn't.
That is a downer.
Ending. Yeah. No. I mean, what we watched was about to happen again.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's not a happy ending. Yeah. Which a happy ending would have been completely. What are you doing?
Like, if they wanted to be, full on, like, what is this? They should have had the professor walk off, like, hey, Dean.
Yeah.
Dean, you got to see the research I got.
Just shows up with a cup of espresso.
Yeah, look at this. We're gonna save the world.
Yeah. That actually might have been not bad. Because that talk about a 180.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If they wanted to make it the whole dream sequence, just make it the dream sequence.
But I thought it was a very impressive looking film. They were smart in how they made it look like an epic apocalypse from the and an early apocalypse, the start of it, because they do a lot of driving shots where they show the car driving. It's usually like a military or somebody, and then they pass by either an infected, like just turning his head looking. That's really simple cinematography and setups, and it gives it a real apocalyptic feeling because it shows how far it's spread out. And they do it a few times. They don't overdo it. So I felt like that was a really smart touch. Then of course you have the helicopter aerial shot of all of them in the field.
Yeah, you
and
gotta
they
have
have
a shot
access
like
to
that.
real helicopters in this movie too.
Yeah.
Which is great. A lot of times, you never this level of filmmaking trying to use stock footage or whatever. They don't really do that.
I know.
So, very impressive with how they made it look epic.
You know, they actually made the movie as real as they could. We're talking about the characters not being
It's not
completely
joking.
evil.
Thank God.
There is something. She should have just walked with him.
Right. Right.
Why? What? There was no reason why he should.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking the same thing. Her staying in the car is actually even maybe more dangerous. Okay, so they gas up. What would you do in that situation? We're running out of gas. Let's stop at the gas station. You would gas up and get out pretty quick, wouldn't you?
out.
No, they go inside for a cup of coffee. And then what happens? What happens?
What
Of course,
happens?
we don't
I
have
mean,
to talk
yeah.
about, but the inevitable.
Right at the window.
Yeah. And then also Sheila, the general tells Sheila, lock the doors, don't answer the door, don't go outside. She locks the door and then immediately goes out in the backyard.
Remember, she forgot to lock the cellar.
Yep. And all these are conveniences they use to create
Tension.
a tense scene.
Yes, yeah, suspense and tension. And it doesn't matter if it's like, wow, you're stupid. You're stupid.
No, I know. When she went out to the backyard, I couldn't believe it.
And mind you, goes out to the backyard and sees the lawnmower cutting by itself. Like, well, I better get back inside.
You're right.
So,
Well, especially after that warning, and then there's something very strange. Yeah, get it back inside.
yeah, I mean, see, we're at the part now we could just talk about some of the fun stuff.
Right.
And that was funny.
That was funny.
That was really good because I forgot the friend's name, but remember Sheila's friend
Yeah.
shows up.
Doesn't matter.
She had a pretty. I mean, she's not a big character. She had a pretty bad ending.
Yeah, that was the most Fulci looking death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll let you watch it and figure out what we're talking about.
They're
but,
okay. Favorite deaths. That's a good one.
Sheila. I mean,
Yeah, Sheila. Because you notice too. Am I crazy or she gets her whole head blown off? And then they cut to her head intact when she's dead on the floor.
kind of. I mean,
Okay.
it's a very Italian.
Doesn't
thing.
matter. Yeah, but no, that's a great death. The whole head's blown clean off, and then they just cut to her like, oh
Yeah.
so, no, that's probably the best death, other than the boob slicing.
That's okay. Yeah, because that's a pretty big effect.
That was
close.
That was a really
up.
good effect, and then there's a really good same scene as the boob slicing. I think there's a hatchet to the back of the head. It's just
the
a
blood
dummy head.
spurting.
Yeah, the blood
Well,
spurting. That was disgusting.
It hits the back of a girl's head.
Yeah, that was really good.
You remember? There's so much on-screen death that most of it is just cut blades hitting. Yeah. There's no blood.
Yeah, I think a lot of times too they do the effect where the effect's already there, and then they just cut to it.
Or like my back is to the camera. You come up to me, go like this. I turn and
Yeah.
yeah.
But they had to do it because they have so much to do.
So many people.
Just
to kill.
think of the shooting schedule every damn day. I would be a nervous wreck every damn day because just the scale of it. If everything like, just 100 extras getting exploded today. That's not too hard.
There's really no extra that really stands out.
There's one, and I've seen horror fans use his image. He's the one that has like the ginger hair kind of going down the side a bit. He's not like, none of the infected are notable characters. Like there's no leader or anything.
Yeah.
Or like you said, there's no featured infected.
Yeah.
But he's kind of recognizable as for the movie. He's like what people associate with this movie is kind of like the more like
I'm not putting a face to it.
where is
I'll
he?
have to look at
He's
it.
earlier in the movie. I think he's in the maybe the second act.
And he's the one that people usually turn to in like a meme or something.
He's like the iconic infected.
Wow.
He has like curly ginger hair that's kind of on the side of his face.
Okay, curly
it's got
ginger.
A pretty notable look.
Okay, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, there's no. Yeah.
Because like I always try to find an extra I want to be. I always find the extra that I want to
play.
play.
I love extras. I would love to be an extra.
Well, we're we're fans of the extras, and we always see the best of the extras.
We love extras.
If a movie has an extra that is notable,
we will talk about it.
We will talk about it. So, well, I got we could wrap it up here.
We did good.
Yeah. So basically, we want to make sure that everybody wants to check out. You need to check out Nightmare City if you're a horror fan, and if you're listening or watching this.
Italian fans of Italian movies, of course, should appreciate it. If you like apocalyptic type stuff,
and
you ought to like
it. If people who already are Italian horror fans, to me, when you compare it to other Italian horror, it's quite tame.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it has a ton of gore. For me, and now I'm not a gore fan anymore, but I wanted gore in this movie. I think it was just enough.
Yep, they did.
Just enough.
Yeah. So, but still 2 thumbs up for me because what a fun movie that is.
It's just havoc.
Yeah, Hugo did a wonderful job in the movie. Yeah. The military actors were fantastic.
Yep, surprisingly.
I don't know their actresses' names, but Sheila and Anna.
Yep.
They were great.
Yeah.
They actually did a good, they weren't annoying. Because I'm not trying to say that.
The cellar scene was the only scene I felt that had the genuine slow creepy tinge.
Oh, with Sheila in the cellar closing the door and all that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I've got a list of stuff.
Okay. Well, you've got a list. You pick what we'll do next and let us know. Let me know. So I can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that's it.
All right. Cut!